wreck in Wilson County, Kansas leaves a Fredonia man dead. Plus, we'll break down Missouri's COVID-19 vaccination plan and how a group of volunteers are bringing warmth to people in need.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Jesse Irwin. Coming up this half hour, Wichita State faces off against Mizzou on the basketball court. We'll have those highlights for you. And Christmas tree providers are seeing an increased demand this year for the real thing. For something to talk about, we want to know whether you prefer getting a real Christmas tree or an artificial Christmas tree. I'll tell you which one I bought this year. You can also vote in this morning's Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, let's check in with Mike.
Why do we have to wait? Why, are you going to tell us now?
Yeah, I'll tell you now. It was actually my first Christmas tree that I bought, and Jen and I bought we bought an artificial one. I was stoked. It was very exciting. Got a great
That's
deal.
cool.
It turns different color. It's multicolor or it's white.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty neat, man.
Thanks, man. What do you use?
Live look at the Skywatch storm tracker.
I just teased yours?
It's coming up in the next half hour.
Oh, great. Yeah.
It's called a tease, Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Skywatch storm tracker with just a little cloud cover up to the north. We're going to be on the dry side here for really the remainder of the work week. Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. It's a chilly one, but I tell you what, there's a big factor in that we don't have a whole lot of wind. Those arrows moving very slow. So even though they're coming in from the north, and we do see temperatures below freezing, there's not that bite outside that sometimes we get when it comes in, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Slowly working up into the mid-50s later on today. It's going to be absolutely delightful and a whole lot of sunshine as well as even the cloud cover as it kicks off to the far east. All 4 of our states in the midst of a high-pressure system that cannot be beat for, would you want to go early/mid-December, I guess, is what we'll call it. Rolling the 50s for the next couple of days, and then that warming trend will take us into the 60s by the end of the week. Next shot for a little precip, we're looking at Saturday and Sunday. More so on Saturday to be widespread. And yeah, there's a chance there in between Saturday and Sunday that we may see several flakes. But once again, because our ground's going to be so warm, it's not going to make a difference for anything.
What kind of care does your tree need?
What kind of what?
What kind of care do you have to give your tree?
It's gonna be very reminiscent of last Monday. The majority of it's going to be just rain.
No, I was talking about your Christmas tree.
Oh.
What do you think I said?
I'm sorry, I was locked in on...
Oh, no, well, go ahead with what you were saying.
I was locked in on rain and snow.
I was trying to get you to share
Hyper-focus!
I know, all right. Well,
you know what? I'm going to have that coming up in the 7 o'clock hour.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, Michael. A crash in Wilson County, Kansas, claimed the life of a Fredonia man. Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened on Friday after 42-year-old Sean D. Blaine Ritz failed to negotiate a curve and struck an embankment on 1700 Road about 5 miles northwest of Fredonia. Blaine Ritz was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Well, more than 330,000 COVID-19 vaccines are expected to be coming to Missouri this month. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services says that would cover all long-term care health facilities and residents and healthcare workers. The vaccines will require a second dose, which will arrive a few weeks later, either at the end of December or in early January. 105,000 of the initial allotment will be sent to rural hospitals like ones in Joplin. And those will be Moderna vaccines.
It's stored at only in a regular freezer, 4 degrees below zero. And so those hospitals are very happy about it. I was on a phone call with a hospital. And so they're very happy that they're getting that because it's just easier for them to use.
Williams expects to move to the general population by May, with supply increasing to allow mass vaccinations in July or August. Officials in St. Louis are preparing for the worst-case scenario in this pandemic. They've set up a temporary morgue in case they see an increase in deaths from the coronavirus. Robert Townsend reports.
We don't need it right now, and we hope that we never need it.
Inside the giant tent is a 53-foot-long refrigeration unit. The temporary morgue sits on land donated by St. Louis Cremation near the corner of Shoto and Papin, just west of downtown. Mayor Lyda Cruzen says it will be able to handle about 50 people. We checked with the city spokesman who says as of Friday, there had been 246 COVID-related deaths in the city.
Out of an abundance of caution, I'll say, the city has just set up its temporary morgue.
Officials also say if needed, the temporary site will help create additional space. The city's current morgue behind City Hall holds about 60 people on any given day.
We have a lot of people always in our morgue, not full by any stretch of the imagination, but we don't want it to get to that point either. So we have set up this temporary morgue. Very serious.
Officials were asked if they plan to open a morgue for the entire county. They said they are assessing the situation, but they have no plans to construct a more permanent morgue. Well, it looks like some local coronavirus patients are getting a bit of puppy love to help them heal. This is a photo of ICU COVID-19 patient Billy Ellick of Quapa, Oklahoma, recovering at Freeman Hospital. And as you can see there, he's got a precious stuffed companion right by his side. That's one of 60 toy Hope puppies, which were donated by Precious Moments out of Carthage. They also donated 10 faith-based bunnies, and all these feel-good animals will be comforting patients in both Freeman's ICU COVID unit and the medical COVID unit. Some volunteers in Joplin are chasing away the chill in the air by spreading scarves, hats, and mittens across town. About 100 volunteers came out to Homewood Suites yesterday to pick up bags of warm knitted items to be placed around town for those in need. Due to the pandemic, those bags of items were quarantined for 2 weeks before being hung with care. 1,428 items were donated. This is the 6th year for Chase the Chill, but it wouldn't be possible without help from the community. Around 500 people donated items.
Our goal is to just bring warmth to those who need it. We have no stipulations, no requirements, no restrictions. There's no criteria. We just want to love on the community and bring the community together for a good cause.
Chase the Chill is hoping to expand to other nearby towns in the future. The time is 5:07.
And we'll have sunrise here at 7:19. We're going to have a delightful sunshiny Friday. Really a whole lot of sunshine this week, and even with our temperatures right now, that are just a tad at or below freezing, it's not too bad because there's no wind to worry about. As we progress through the week, we're going to have temperatures that are going to be in the 60s by the time we get to Friday. Jesse?
Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Chiefs take on the rival Denver Broncos at home. We've got those highlights for you. Plus, what's behind an increase in real Christmas tree sales? And an Oklahoma woman speaks out about inaccurate coronavirus testing after she tested negative 3 out of 4 times after showing symptoms. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Entering Sunday night, Kansas City Chiefs remained a game behind the unbeaten Steelers in the AFC standings. Chiefs back in primetime, hosting division rival Denver, just hoping that Denver had a quarterback. KC 10-1 on the year, looking to pick up a 7th straight win, second quarter tied at 3. Hey, they do have a quarterback! This is Drew Lock! That dude hits Tim Patrick, 5-yard touchdown. Broncos up 10-3. Yeah, it's over. Tyreek Hill on the reverse, picks up 30 yards, leads to a field goal. Now, KC's still down 10-6, but the Broncos miss a field goal, and then Patrick Mahomes connects with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, by the way, 5th consecutive 1,000-yard season. No tight end has ever done that in NFL history. Oh, by the way, remember that dude named Tony Gonzalez? Travis Kelce may be the best tight end the Chiefs have ever had. My goodness. KC comes back, wins it 22-16. Get this, Kansas City is now guaranteed a playoff spot. 6th consecutive year that they've done that. That also ties a franchise record. On to college hoops, where the Missouri Tigers were on the road yesterday to take on the Greg Marshall-less Wichita State Shakas. Tigers looking to start 3-0 on the year. First half, if you play for Missouri, chances are your name is Smith if you score, or if you pass it. That guy's name is Jeremiah Tillman. Mizzou up by 9. There's Mitchell Smith. Two-handed slam. Shockers do fight back. Alterique Gilbert. Woo! Hit it. Wichita State within 3. You started to pull your collar down. You're like, oh, no, we're not going to do this, are we? Second half. Drew Smith. That's right. We got all the Smiths in there in this highlight. He had 14. There's Mark Smith. Like I said, chances are, if you score for the Missouri Tigers, your last name is Smith. Mizzou wins it on the road, 72-62.
We don't really look at whoever's turn it is. I just think we play so well together. We're an unselfish team. So, we just play basketball and guys know their roles. And I feel like that we do them perfectly, to get wins. And we've been doing that so far as a team.
I've always been a man that don't take wins for granted. I'll take 3-0 as opposed to 0-3 any day of the week.
Oklahoma Sooners taking on TCU. A little Big 12 action. Second half. Sooners up 3. That's a nifty little move right there. Sooners lead by 5. 5 minutes left to play. Austin Reeves. Draw the contact, throw it up. You never know, you may get lucky. 3 points out of the play. OU leads by 7. Under 2 minutes. TCU down 5. Mike Miles. Launch shot. Boom! Cuts the lead to 2, but OU says, nah, we're going to pull this out of here. Watch this. Austin Reeves. I'm by the T in TCU. Take that. Reeves, 32 points, 9 assists. Sooners win it 82-78. OU 2-0 on the year. Missouri Southern Lions swept Rogers State on Saturday. The Lion men snapping a 2-game skid by beating the Hillcats 88-82. As for the Southern women, you want to talk about on a roll. They put up 96 points. Third straight win. 4 players in double figures. Carly Turnbull had 23. Amaya Johns had 21. Sharing the ball well. Get this, 24 assists on 31 made baskets.
I think of just trusting each other, just giving the extra pass and knowing that we all can help get the dub at the end of the day. And we all pretty much scored all around. We started to get more of a flow in our offense, sharing the ball more, knocking out some threes. A couple steals kind of changed the momentum as well. So after that, we kind of turned the corner and decided to put our foot on the pedal.
Pitt State got the sweep on Northeastern State Saturday. Men beat NSU 81-71. Ike Moore and Antonio Gibbons each had 16 points. Women, they snapped a 2-game losing streak. They won 84-82, and one from Maya Williams sent the Gorillas over the top late in the game. A must-win for the Gorilla women. They had to get some momentum down.
We needed to win because we were 1-3. I mean, obviously, and you want to win all of them, but when you're 1-3, you are very hungry to get a win.
Yeah, most definitely. I think this really gets us jump started to get us to come back to practice and to take on our next game.
Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, preparing for a vaccine.
Frontline healthcare workers in the United Kingdom could be receiving their first coronavirus vaccines as early as tomorrow. I'm Deborah Alfrone in Washington with the latest details on the fight to stop the pandemic.
And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. A little past 5:17, roll some weather on the 7s and a gorgeous looking Skywatch storm tracker. A little cloud cover up to the north, but we're going to be on the dry side for really the next week. 30 degrees is where we stand from the Freeman Health System sky camera. But I tell you what, without any wind, it doesn't really have that bite. The arrow's moving very slowly right now. 29 in Oswego, 30 in Monette, and 28 in Pittsburgh. For the bus stop forecast, we'll roll sunrise right at 7:19. It's going to be a clear, cool, and nice start as the trough of the jet stream now pushes over the Tennessee River Valley, forcing all the precipitation out to the east, everything out to the west. Dry and pretty as can be. Average high this time of year would be 49. We're going to cruise at that at the noon hour, be able to push up into the mid-50s here a little later on. Now, as we progress on the 7-day forecast, you notice back-to-back days where we have 54 degrees, but then we're able to push up into the 60s by the time we get to the end of the work week. KOAM News Now Facebook page and this morning's Instapoll. Rudolph's Christmas trees, they're a staple in the Las Vegas area, and they usually open on Black Friday every year. But this year, they had lines forming 3 days earlier. starting the earliest tree shopping season ever. Here's Alexis Gorey.
We're seeing families, we're seeing elderly folks coming out and get a live Christmas tree again.
We've done artificial in the past. I love the smell of a new tree.
It's a trend John Rubico, owner of Rudolph's Christmas Trees, is seeing at his locations across the valley.
Most people are leaving their fake Christmas tree in the closet this year and coming out and buying the real thing.
The real Christmas industry struggled to attract young buyers in recent years as more people turned to shipping artificial trees. But according to a recent survey by the Christmas Tree Promotion Board, many people who put up an artificial tree last year plan to buy a real tree this year, many citing the pandemic as the reason.
It's been a tough year for a lot of people, so we just need a little bit of joy in our lives, and I think that we're kind of, wanting that early.
Shoppers like Karen and Doug are even seeking their perfect tree earlier than usual.
But it does really make it a little bit something to look forward to in kind of a bleak year. So hopefully we'll have even more to look forward to next year.
Rubico says he's already seeing a 30% increase in sales this season.
I think families this year want to spend time together. And part of that tradition is buying a Christmas tree and the experience of buying it as a family.
Online sales also on the rise. People can purchase a variety of trees from $25 to $5,000 and have it delivered free to their door.
And on a Christmas tree lot, if you see more than 20 or 25, that's a very rare occurrence.
Nevadans practicing old-fashioned values in a time unusual for all.
Merry Christmas.
Our question to you, do you prefer getting a real or artificial Christmas tree? Log on to our Facebook page. Send us pictures. Erwin's going to put some of his up later. And also, too, go to KOAMNews.com/vote and take part in our Insta poll. Jesse's not even paying attention to me right now. I'll get those pictures from him. Be back with Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a Tulsa woman took multiple COVID-19 tests while experiencing symptoms, and only one test came back positive. Jamison Kiefover reports.
Don't trust a negative COVID test. If you have the symptoms, especially that loss of taste and smell, you have to stay home.
A message to others about inaccurate testing. Staying home to quarantine, although she tested negative 3 times for the virus, all while having symptoms, even losing her sense of taste and smell.
I immediately knew this is COVID. As odd as this sounds, it was almost like I was fortunate to have that symptom so that I knew for sure that I was doing the right thing.
She reached out to her primary doctor for a 4th test.
I said, what would you think about me doing another PCR test, but through your clinic? She's like, well, I don't know. We could try it, but really, usually they're pretty effective. I was pretty insistent, though. I knew in my gut I had it.
Going online to share her experience, on day 12 of having symptoms, she received her positive results.
Generally kind of a private person, but I thought, you know what? People really need to know that just because you test negative does not mean that you do not have COVID and that you cannot be potentially cause someone else to get it as well.
Although testing has become more common and a vaccine will be available soon, the Oklahoma Department of Health reminding everyone to do whatever it takes to stop the virus.
Everyone should continue to wear a mask, wash their hands and watch their distance as ways to truly prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
And a reminder to stay home if you have any symptoms.
Listen to your gut. Know when you're sick and when you need to stay home. And just because you get that negative test doesn't mean that you're negative.
Well, according to Johns Hopkins University, Oklahoma has more than 31,000 active cases and has reported nearly 1,900 deaths. More than 1.3 million children have now tested positive for the coronavirus. The data compiled by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association found the week ending November 26th saw the largest weekly increase in children's cases since the pandemic began. Children and teens should wear a face covering even when playing sports outdoors. That's the new recommendation from the American Academy of Pediatrics. It acknowledges that masks should not be worn during some competitions like gymnastics or wrestling because the covering could impair vision or become a choking hazard. Obesity rates may be the reason more black women die of breast cancer. According to a new study published by the American Cancer Society, higher rates of obesity and other health conditions contribute to the 40% mortality gap between black and white women. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
I just got informed that evidently I need to wet down my hair because I got one sticking up in the back. You could have told me that, Mr. Irwin.
Honestly, I would have, because that happens to me all the time. So if I do
Yeah.
see that, I will let you know.
Yeah, once again, not paying attention.
I'm going to post a picture of your hair sticking up instead of a tree.
I got a picture. It was sent to me, so I can do that for you. Cool, sunny skies, mid-50s for the next couple of days. Warming trend about to get here, push us up into the 60s. More KOAM Morning News right after this.
A wreck in Wilson County, Kansas leaves a Fredonia man dead. Plus, we'll break down Missouri's COVID-19 vaccination plan and how a group of volunteers are bringing warmth to people in need.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:30 a.m. I'm Jesse Irwin. Coming up this half hour, our morning talker today, it's about the Christmas tree debate. We want to know whether you prefer a real tree or an artificial tree. I know how I feel. Michael knows how he feels. You can also let us know how you feel about this on our Insta poll. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, let's check in with Michael.
I'm void of feelings. I'm good.
Tell me, how do you feel about it? Or are you the sort of the moderator?
Remember, my job is to report.
Blink twice if it's a fake tree.
I shan't not have an opinion, Sir Irwin.
I think I know the answer.
I know. Notice how I skirt out of that? Skywatch storm tracker clears a bell, and the reason I want to point that out while we cruise through this is that I was just telling Jesse that tonight, I should say, me and one of the littles, we're going to go check out Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. And it's going to be a great week to do that because while our temperatures are going to be great. I mean, look, it's not too bad right now because there's no wind. Yeah, I know you go, wow, that's cold. But yeah, if your kid has science class or anything like that, and I tie that into the bus stop forecast, it's going to be a great week to go check out the celestial objects here as we get into the middle of December. Remember, we've got the conjunction coming up of Jupiter and Saturn. That's real. It's going to be visible all month. It really kicks in probably about the 16th. And then on the 21st, that's the magical date. But still, when we talk about like the clear skies that we have from Monday all the way through Thursday, temperatures rising up. You know, you get out 8, 9 o'clock, Mars at the meridian. It's perfect.
So they're like 1 degree within each other?
1/10 of a degree. So
how, I mean,
we haven't seen it since 1623.
The year 1623?
Right. Have not seen it since 1623.
It's been that long.
And there's speculation, the telescope was invented 14 years before that, but there's speculation that at that time they probably did not realize, even with the telescope, that it was that close.
Did Galileo invent the telescope?
Yeah. So it'd been around for 14 years since Galileo had come up with the idea of it.
He was still around at this moment.
Right.
That's
but
cool.
they had not done, they weren't able to map the way we can now with technology. So they probably didn't realize that it was within 1/10 of a degree at that point in time.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
So are they going to be covering each other, or will
It'll
we
look
be able
like
to
one
decipher?
giant thing. It'll be so awesome.
That's
why
really
it's cool if you want to go out now and kind of take a look at them while they're apart.
Yeah.
And so what Kayla and I are going to do is kind of watch them as they get closer.
That's really neat. You might not know the answer to this question, but does the luminosity of each planet, when they are in front of each other, do they combine, or is it just whichever one is in front sort of takes the lead?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that. I know it'll look like one giant glowing orb, but I'm not sure which one would be brighter. Emmett Sullivan, because you are the KOAM Morning News astronomer that I lean on. If you know the answer to that, let me know on Facebook and I'll let Jesse know. And I'll let everybody know. That's a great question. And I'll try to find out you an answer too.
Thank you, sir. Well, a crash in Wilson County, Kansas claims the life of a Fredonia man. Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened on Friday after 42-year-old Sean D. Blaine Ritz failed to negotiate a curve and struck an embankment on 1700 Road about 5 miles northwest of Fredonia. Blaine Ritz was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. More than 330,000 COVID-19 vaccines are expected to be coming to Missouri this month. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services says that would cover all long-term care facilities and residents and healthcare workers. The vaccines will require a second dose, which will arrive a few weeks later, either at the end of December or in early January. 105,000 of the initial allotment will be sent to rural hospitals like the ones in Joplin. Those will be Moderna vaccines. A law firm in St. Louis says in its findings, the Missouri Veteran Commission's failure to create an outbreak protocol led to poor results at Missouri veterans' homes. Isabel Hansen spoke to the chairman of the commission about the investigation and has more.
I think it's a tough report, but it's a fair report.
July 19th, that's when Missouri Veterans Home in Cape Girardeau reported its first positive COVID-19 resident.
You look at the data in March, April, May, June, July, and August, we did a very, very strong job of keeping the virus at bay.
But Tim Noonan, the chairman of the Missouri Veterans Commission, says things quickly took a turn.
We failed to interpret the data correctly when case rates started spiking in Cape in the first third of September.
That thought's in line with findings from an independent investigation by Armstrong Teasdale in St. Louis. Attorneys looked into the commission's response to the pandemic in Missouri veterans' homes. The law firm's report says the commission failed to recognize the outbreak, failed to plan for an extensive outbreak, and failed to respond to the outbreak.
The rate and pace at which the virus got hold inside Cape, it simply overwhelmed the plan that we had in place. And as was mentioned in the report, we didn't have a contingency plan in place, which resulted in very, very well-intended caregivers being overwhelmed by a very, very complex and fast-moving healthcare situation.
A problem he accepts and vows to change.
The only way you can fix them is to own them, face into them, and start driving the recommendations that we receive.
Noonan says that includes continuing to test aggressively, improving quarantine space options, and making sure veterans who test positive do not interact with those who do not.
We care deeply about the veterans. We care deeply about the work that we do. It is absolutely heartbreaking what happened.
And he tells me their failures do not show their intentions.
We love these men and women in the homes, and we're going to keep fighting and making the best decisions we can. And most importantly, we're going to ask for help.
Noonan served as a captain in the Marine Corps. He says he's grateful for the families of veterans who shared their experiences for this investigation. Some volunteers in Joplin are chasing away the chill in the air, spreading scarves, hats, and mittens all across town. About 100 volunteers came out to Homewood Suites Saturday to pick up bags of warm knitted items to be placed around town for those in need. Now, due to the pandemic, those bags of items were quarantined for 2 weeks before being hung with care. 1,428 items were donated. This is the 6th year for Chase the Chill, but it wouldn't be possible without help from the community. Around 500 people donated items.
Our locations that we every year want to make sure to hit is God Resort, Souls Harbor, Main Street. We'll go into Cunningham Park, Mercy Park, places like that to make sure that the group that is always out, the homeless, those kind of people, have a chance to get to something.
The organizers are hoping to expand the event to nearby towns in the future. The Southeast Kansas Humane Society is turning to the community for help as they look to reach a $10,000 fundraising goal. The fundraiser had an original goal of $5,000 with a match by the Ronald O. Thomas Foundation, which they've already surpassed. Now, with 3 days left to raise money, the foundation has decided to up their match to $10,000. So the Humane Society is asking for the community's help, saying that $20,000 would be a Christmas miracle for their animals.
COVID's really hit every nonprofit really hard this year, and I can't tell you how much of a blessing that would be for all the animals here, for the staff. When the pandemic hit, we were out 5 hours a day just looking for a bag of dog food or bleach or cleaner. To know that we have that security that our animals are going to be fed for a year is so special.
The SEK Humane Society has links to donate on their website. You can find more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, another monolith appears. Unbelievable. This time in Boulder, Colorado. Yep, this time it's the location that has people scratching their heads.
That's great.
We'll explain. Plus, why the annual Christmas tree lighting in Bethlehem looked a bit different this year. But first, the time is 5:37.
And we're going to roll a little weather trend that will take us up into the mid-50s later on today. Whole lot of sunshine. I don't want to say mundane. Never like to call weather mundane, but let's call it enjoyable for early to mid-December. Up into the 60s, we'll be back with World Watch right after this.
Topping World Watch, people in the United Kingdom could be receiving their first coronavirus vaccines as early as tomorrow. The UK is the first country to roll out the Pfizer/BioNTech vaccine in the fight to end the COVID-19 pandemic. Deborah Alfarone has the latest.
The first batch of coronavirus vaccines started reaching hospitals in the United Kingdom yesterday.
To know that they are here and we are amongst the first in the country to actually receive the vaccine and therefore the first in the world is just amazing. I'm so proud.
The UK last week became the first country in the West to approve a COVID-19 vaccine for public use. Around 800,000 doses are expected to be ready to be administered starting tomorrow morning. Nursing home residents, people over the age of 80, and frontline healthcare workers are the high priority groups first in line to receive the vaccinations.
I believe that it gives a lot of people in the world hope that this will end someday and we have something to look forward to.
Vaccinating the country's population of 67 million will, of course, pose logistical challenges, one of which keeping the doses properly frozen.
So they're stored in the -70 freezer and they will be taken out of there when it's appropriate. The hospital is just going through the final checks to be able to implement the vaccination program for our high priority groups, and we will roll out when it's appropriate.
In trials, the vaccine has shown it's 95% effective. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
In China and Russia, officials have been administering thousands of doses of vaccines developed by government-backed research institutes outside of trials for weeks. Unlike the Western vaccine programs, neither Russia nor China carried out large-scale international human trials with data provided for independent analysis. Embattled Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro claimed a sweeping victory last night in the congressional elections. The elections were boycotted by opposition politicians and widely criticized internationally as being fraudulent. The win gives Maduro control of the last major branch of government outside his control. These elections come in the midst of a major humanitarian crisis in the country, with the complications of the deadly COVID-19 pandemic and widespread food shortages for large sectors of the population. In Bethlehem, the Christmas tree outside the Church of the Nativity was lit on Saturday. A countdown preceded the lighting. The church is believed by Christians to be the birthplace of Jesus Christ. Locals and pilgrims traditionally gather each year for the lighting of the tree in Manger Square, but this year the event took on a whole different look. Several journalists were present, but members of the public were banned due to coronavirus restrictions. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael, because he's got a smile on his face. What are you laughing at?
No, I was, it's inconsequential at this point in time. You did a great job reading that story.
Oh, thanks, man.
All right, KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. It simply comes down to this: fake tree, real tree. That's the crux of the argument. And we're also getting great pictures in. So let's go ahead and start with Guy. I love it. Got the ornament up with the COVID-19 Merry Christmas 2020. He says, get real. Love that guy. Will York, our own Will York, who's saving parents left and right this morning. He says, after Thanksgiving, usually put up an artificial tree. Then my parents want their artificial tree too up. And then when it gets closer, oh, Will, you guys double dip. That's cool. I didn't know that. Michelle Passini with a little morning KOAM. We say morning, Michelle. And a good morning to your mama. Okay, not to bring everybody down, but yeah, happy birthday, Dad. She's not going to put one up this year, but I understand. That's a good picture right there. Dave Pitts. Wait, somebody did that right. Dave goes, it's not my house, but that's pretty good. And for those of you that may remember, Rick Norton, he's got that angel Robin Rucker made them. The infamous missing angel that has now been replaced. Thanks to all of you who take part in this show. And Rick, I know that's something that you remember, and man, that was a good time just telling that story. And Merry Christmas to you as well. As Rick says, Merry Christmas to the KOAM morning crew. Our Insta poll this morning, here's where we're sitting at right now. It's kind of overwhelming. 70% of you say you use an artificial tree compared to only 17%. 17% for a real tree and 13% don't put up a tree. So pretty close right there. You can make your vote heard. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Well, on Sunday, President Trump tweeted that former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani has tested positive for COVID-19. Giuliani, President Trump's personal attorney, has traveled in recent weeks to make the president's unsupported claims of election fraud. A crash in Wilson County, Kansas claims the life of a Fredonia man. Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened on Friday after 42-year-old Sean Blaine Ritz failed to negotiate a curve and struck an embankment on 1700 Road, about 5 miles northwest of Fredonia. Blaine Ritz was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Some volunteers in Joplin are chasing away the chill in the air, spreading scarves, hats, and mittens across town. About 100 volunteers came out to Homewood Suites on Saturday to pick up bags of warm knitted items to be placed around town for those in need. Due to the pandemic, those bags of items were quarantined for 2 weeks before being hung up with care. 1,428 items were donated. This is the 6th year for Chase the Chill, but it wouldn't be possible without help from the community. Around 500 people donated items. Today is Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, marking the 79th anniversary of the December 7th, 1941 surprise attack on Hawaii by Japanese forces. The theme of this year's commemoration focuses on the Marines and soldiers who defended Oahu and the civilians caught in the crossfire. The Pearl Harbor attack, which President Franklin Roosevelt called a day which will live in infamy, plunged the U.S. into World War II. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
As we remember those who served and then those who went to serve after the attack on Pearl Harbor, we will have a nice day here in the 4 states. Sunny skies, temperatures up into the mid-50s, and a warming trend that will take us into the 60s by the end of the work week. More KOAM Morning News right after this.
You know that monolith, or the metal artwork called the monolith, that disappeared mysteriously and then disappeared in Utah? It appeared, it disappeared. I mean, structures like that one have been popping up across the country. Nicole Brady visits one in Boulder, Colorado at a taco shop.
Yeah, we noticed it all the way from down there.
In an unassuming corner of an average Colorado shopping center, something seems out of place.
The monolith. Immediately we thought of the Utah.
The metallic structure in front of McDevitt Taco Supply wasn't here last night.
I was here at about 6:30, 7 o'clock last night. I am a regular. Every Friday night I try to come by.
If he knows who's behind it.
Give it a push.
Oh yeah, history. Owner Clayton McDevitt certainly isn't saying so.
Yeah, this is just sitting here.
What does it appear to be?
One of those monolith things.
But it seems unlikely that this is the same monolith that disappeared from Utah, because not only is there this one in Boulder, similar installations have appeared outside businesses in Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, and Atlanta, and one just showed up today in Morrison at the Holiday Bar.
The owner just found it this morning, actually.
I'll just ask you straight out, do you think it's a marketing stunt?
I don't. I really don't.
Skylar Mason says customers are talking about aliens and the supernatural.
Especially with everything going on right now, this has been, something that's kind of giggly and funny.
It attracts people, so you come by and look. It's a nice thing in this era of the pandemic.
And in a pandemic, there's no bad publicity. The restaurants in this square all had customers enjoying the nice outdoor weather today, but the winter months ahead will be hard.
I think I counted 6 or 7 small restaurants here in this shopping center. If you try to support all of them, it's hard.
So until things are normal again for business, something abnormal is providing a fun distraction.
I think it's the aliens. They're inviting us to their planet. They've been watching 2020.
When the original monolith became an attraction, the Utah Department of Public Safety cheekily addressed the alien theory. Yes. It said unauthorized art installations are illegal, quote, no matter what planet you're from. Michael, first of all, as a 2001 Space Odyssey fan, like, yeah, I think everybody who's seen the movie would appreciate this. Secondly, it is the greatest marketing tool. If you have a business, yeah, just set up a monolith in front of it, you get people there.
I think this is tremendous. I think it's kind of performance art, a little Banksy-ish.
Yeah.
I just think it's really neat. And why not?
Do you want to go build a monolith?
KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Real or fig tree? It's as simple as that. That's what we're asking. Jesse, come on, I'm trying to pull this off. All right, we've got Becky Mangarelli, who prefers a small tree that she can replant after Christmas, but no matter what tree, has to be decorated with indestructible ornaments. Because of that one right there. Becky, you gotta let us know what the name of that rascal is. Oh, there's two of them. Jesse. It's like sister and mister.
Oh, nice. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna comment with my tree picture now.
You got that. All right, our Insta poll this morning, artificial tree is winning right now with 71%. Go to KOAMnews.com/vote. We'll be back right after this. Sunny skies, mid-50s, and Jesse and I having too much of a good time because we burned our clock. More KOAM Morning News right after this.
A wreck in Wilson County, Kansas leaves a Fredonia man dead. Plus, we'll break down Missouri's COVID-19 vaccination plan and how a group of volunteers are bringing warmth to people in need.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Jesse Irwin. Coming up this half hour, the latest on a Kia recall affecting about 300,000 vehicles. And it is a classic debate that we are now bringing to the KOAM floor. Real Christmas tree or artificial Christmas tree? For us, something to talk about. We want to know which side you stand on, and don't forget, well, let's see what the results look like. Don't forget to participate. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Michael, what's the weather look like?
All right, Jesse, the Skywatch storm tracker is extremely clear, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple transitions here as we go to the Freeman Health System sky camera, where our temperatures right now are 28 degrees. But Jesse and I have been talking about the planetary objects that we have to take advantage of this month, and it's absolutely awesome because while we look at our temperatures right now, I asked for our resident astronomer / photographer to chime in. And Emmett has done so, Jesse.
Oh.
And so I want to show you this right here. Okay, look at this. So Emmett just sent us a photo of Jupiter and 3 of the moons showing around it.
Wow.
And of course, this is interesting because we've been talking about the monoliths. If you remember from 2001 and 2010, the moon of Europa, all of these are these to touch except Europa. And so I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, what a small
that
world.
Europa was part of it.
Or universe.
And so that is awesome. And this was, look at this. That was just taken just a day ago.
That looks like something you would see in, I mean, frankly, in Star Wars.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that
is too cool right there. Emmett, thank you very much. And with Emmett's permission, I'll reach out to him and see if I can share that with everybody. Anyway, back to the weather. Thank you. Day planner for today, going to put us up into the mid-50s, plenty of sunshine. And I tell you what, if you want to take advantage of what Emmett was talking about, we're going to have extremely clear nights as well. And temperatures not going to be too bad at all. If you want to be out there, say, between 8 to 10 o'clock. Meridian of Mars, remember, 8 to 9 all this month is going to be absolutely gorgeous.
That's too cool. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that photo, Emmett. That's really neat.
Yeah, Emmett, thank you very much. That was, and it was one of those crazy things. You and I are talking about it, and Emmett's like, boom, look what I got. How cool is that?
It's awesome. Thank you. A crash in Wilson County, Kansas claimed the life of a Fredonia man. Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened on Friday after 42-year-old Sean Blaine Ritz failed to negotiate a curve and struck an embankment on 1700 Road, about 5 miles northwest of Fredonia. Blaine Ritz was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. More than 300,000 COVID-19 vaccines are expected to arrive in Missouri later this month. That's enough to give initial vaccines to all healthcare workers and long-term care residents and staff in the state. KOAM's Zach Dodge has details and reaction from a local hospital.
We now have a commitment of 339,775 doses of vaccine for initial vaccination.
Department of Health and Senior Services Director Randall Williams breaking big news to reporters during a press call on Friday.
So that's groundbreaking news.
He explains that all of those vaccines will go to healthcare workers and long-term care residents and staff. The distribution plan is complex, so let's focus on the first phase. Williams says an initial shipment of around 50,000 Pfizer vaccines are expected in the state around December 12th. Those will go to 20 different vaccine sites throughout the state for the first set of healthcare workers. Around a week later, 61,000 more Pfizer vaccines will be distributed by Walgreens and CVS to long-term care facilities. Then on December 21st, 105,000 Moderna vaccines will be sent directly to hospitals around the state, like Mercy and Freeman in Joplin.
It's good news. We have processes in place where we can vaccinate our workers very rapidly and very efficiently.
Everybody will be able to get their first shot in that universe of 350,000 in December, if not even in January, and get their second shots either in January or February.
That will conclude Part 1 of Phase 1. Part 2 will then start, more than likely, in February. That will include 3 million essential workers like teachers, critical manufacturing workers, and first responders. Those vaccines will be sent to local health departments, pharmacies, and hospitals throughout the state where essential workers can be vaccinated on site.
They will identify themselves as one of those groups and be vaccinated. That at this point, I do not anticipate one group won't get priority over another.
Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Williams anticipates moving to vaccinations in the general public by May. The vaccine will be given for free. Providers can apply a small administrative fee, but residents won't be turned away if they can't afford that fee. The state is not mandating that healthcare personnel receive the vaccine. Both Freeman and Mercy say they will be highly encouraging vaccinations. Well, some volunteers in Joplin are chasing away the chill in the air, spreading scarves, hats, and mittens across town. About 100 volunteers came out to Homewood Suites Saturday to pick up bags of warm knitted items to be placed around town for those in need. Due to the pandemic, those bags of items were quarantined for 2 weeks before being hung up with care. 1,428 items, that's how many were donated. This is the 6th year for Chase the Chill, but it wouldn't be possible without help from the community. Around 500 people donated items. Well, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in Carthage, especially on the square. It's all thanks to some local artists dedicating their time and talents to dozens of shop windows, painting snowy scapes depicting holiday cheer. Vision Carthage, a beautification group, asked these painters to brighten up the square, and that's just what they've been doing the past 2 weeks, wrapping up Saturday on the south side.
Abby Almendinger with Vision Carthage called me and said, hey, do you suppose you have some other artist friends who might be willing to Christmas up our square? And I said, I absolutely do. Yes. So I called these lovely people and they got on board, and here we are.
Everyone's invited to check out this artistic display, hopefully drawing more people downtown and encouraging them to shop local this Christmas and holiday season. Well, dozens of people in the Carl Junction community and surrounding areas gathered on Main Street yesterday for the annual Christmas parade. The Carl Junction Band, police and fire, and local businesses walked in the parade. The parade was held by the Carl Junction's Lions Club. Officials say it was nice to have a sense of normalcy during the holiday season. There was also a parade in Joplin, but this one was for a very special birthday boy. His name's Josh Morris, and he just turned 9 years old, but his mother, who works at Mercy Hospital, is currently deployed. So his mom's co-workers stepped up to give him an unforgettable birthday. Mercy employees drove by, stopping to give Josh birthday presents as they passed. How cool is that? The Joplin Police Department and Fire Department also joined in to give Josh clearly a memorable birthday. Too cool. Michael, it's 6:07.
That's tremendous right there. That kid will never forget that. His mom will never forget that either. And I want to thank his parents for doing what they do. That is absolutely awesome. Sunny skies, cool start, but still temperatures mid-50s for the next couple of days, and then let the warming trend begin as we're going to see 60s here by the middle of the week. Jesse?
All right, well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a shortened quarantine.
Health officials reduced the required quarantine time for COVID-19. I'm Kate Kelly with how my nephew feels about having to spend less time stuck inside.
Plus, how Tiger King inspired the House to pass a bill in Congress. That's right, that is 2020 news right there. And we get an inside look into the troubled Boeing 7037 MAX as it returns to the skies. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. The House passed a bill that would ban private ownership of big cats like lions and tigers.
Got lawmakers crediting the Netflix hit docuseries Tiger King, and that dude right there, Joe Exotic, with renewing attention on this issue. As I said, he goes by Joe Exotic.
The eccentric keeper of big cats in Oklahoma is in prison right now for killing 5 tigers, several other wildlife violations, and a murder for hire plot. The Big Cat Public Safety Act passed the House Thursday on a vote of 272 to 114.
And of course, this has very four-state ties. As many of you may remember, Haley's Law that was passed in honor of Haley Hildebrand from Labette County High School. You had 48 Republicans voting with the Democrats to approve the measure. No easy transition from that, but now we're going to do our Eye on Entertainment. We've got a fashion executive that's coming out from behind the scenes in a new reality show.
And why Shawn Mendes was intimidated to sing with Justin Bieber. There's a story behind it, and Chris Martinez has that and more.
Close my eyes. Pop star Shawn Mendes is opening up about his battle with anxiety.
Maybe I should pretend that I'm Superman for a little bit longer.
His hit duet Monster with Justin Bieber is about the fear of being judged, and he admits singing with his fellow Canadian was intimidating.
I think the second I heard him sing on the record, I was like, God, I'm not going to be able to sing that high. It was hard. It's very hard to sing that high, I have to say. Singing with Justin Bieber is no small feat.
Their duet is featured on Mendes' new album, Wonder.
Is that a rooster?
There's a new arrival in the neighborhood.
Come on, Beaker, knock it off!
Dave and Calvin team up on a covert mission to restore order in tonight's new episode, Welcome to the Rooster, on CBS.
You ready to do this?
Oh, yeah. Let's choke this chicken.
The woman who helped put J. Crew on the fashion map is onto a new challenge. The company's former president, Jenna Lyons, stars in a reality TV series with creative assistants competing for a spot on her design team.
The idea of working with Jenna Lyons sounds unbelievable.
Lyons says she's thrilled at the opportunity to show another side of herself.
I honestly feel like so lucky that I'm getting a second chance. I was really scared that I wouldn't.
Stylish with Jenna Lyons is streaming now on HBO Max. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
You want to do real or fake?
Yeah.
I meant Christmas trees. Our question on the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, real or fake Christmas trees? Because evidently, the real Christmas tree industry is really running into a snag this year. And that's evident by not only the posts that we're getting, but also our KOAM News Now Insta poll. So let's go with Dave Pitts. That looks like a real one from Dave, though, right? Or no, Allison Smith. I'm sorry. That's Allison Smith. That's a real one from Allison, I'm pretty sure. That's a beautiful topping, though. I love that, Allison. That's wonderful. Rob Getz always used to insist on cutting down my own Christmas tree, but Rob says, as I got older and much more busy, I've learned the advantages to an artificial tree. Oh, and the fact my wife pretty much has it all done by the time I get home. Rob calls it a win-win. I love that. Thank you, Rob. As far as our Insta poll goes this morning, like I said, this is why the real Christmas tree industry is taking a hit. I think about the Bowens. With them retiring here just in the last year. Right now, 76% of you saying you prefer an artificial tree compared to 16% who say real tree. You can leave your vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with Money Watch next.
In Money Watch this morning, it's the troubled plane that was ordered out of the sky. Now airlines are days away from putting passengers back on board the Boeing 737 MAX. 2 crashes involving the aircraft killed more than 300 people. Pete Mutane was one of the first people to fly on one of the newly repaired planes.
2 fatal crashes put it under the microscope of investigators, regulators, and Congress. Now, for the first time in 20 months, the Boeing 737 MAX has been cleared to fly. And CNN was among the first on board before it officially returns to service.
Good morning.
Captain Peter Gamble piloted this invite-only American Airlines flight. American will restart MAX flights later this month.
And the scrutiny needed to happen. And it's at a point now where the pilots are the ones that are going to project that confidence back to the passengers. This is the change.
The FAA is requiring airlines to add Boeing patches to flawed flight control software, that pilots get new training in a MAX simulator, and each individual airplane be inspected before flying again.
We're here at 33,000 feet, and there are about 90 people on board this flight, all members of the media and American Airlines employees. American will start carrying paying passengers on MAX jets starting December 29, but there are still concerns that the plane is not ready and not safe.
It's a problem plane.
Michael Stumo's daughter Samia was killed in the second MAX crash in Ethiopia in 2019. He insists new fixes do not go far enough.
Consumers should avoid this plane. And if they see when they book a flight that they would be flying on a Boeing 737 MAX 8, they should change their flight.
Airlines say the MAX will replace older, less efficient jets. Southwest and United plan to resume flights in the coming months. But American says its 24 MAXs are ready now. American COO David Seymour says passengers will know when they book that they will be on a MAX, or they can rebook for free.
It's not rushed. Everything we do at American is all surrounded by safety. We're not going to do anything that's unsafe. All of our actions, all of our decisions are based on that. At first, American will operate its MAXs on only one route a day, a round trip between New York LaGuardia and Miami, but that is only the start. Even in spite of reduced flights because of the pandemic, American says the MAX will become a backbone of its fleet. It has 76 more of these planes on order, and we now know that American plans to ramp up MAX flights in 2021.
Kia is recalling nearly 300,000 vehicles that are at risk of an engine fire. The Korean automaker says it covers 5 different models from 2011 to 2015. Kia is currently working on a software update to address the issue, and dealers can replace the engine if an inspection finds a problem. That's it for Money Watch. Michael, what's it look like outside?
Freedom Health System sky camera, Jesse, with temperatures sitting right now around 30 degrees. It's a chilly one outside. How about dropping down to 28? Nice thing is it doesn't bite right through you because that wind, pretty negligible, just coming in from the west. The air is very, very slow, if not the northwest right there. 26 in Pittsburgh, 31 in Monette, 29 right now in Neodesha. A little light cloud cover up to the north, but that's about it. We're going to be on the dry side so the kids won't have any trouble. Just make sure they stay warm on the way there, and by the time they get ready to come home, we're going to be all the way up into the mid-50s. All the precipitation hanging out by the mid-Atlantic. Everybody west of the Mississippi, wouldn't be a bad thing to have a little rain. So let's just sit back and enjoy great early/mid-December temperatures as we see 50s for today and tomorrow, and then the warming trend takes us up into the 60s by the middle of the week. I'll try to fix it. We'll be back right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, health departments across the country are updating their guidance on how long to quarantine based on new data from the CDC. KOAM's Kate Kelly spoke with her sister's family about why they're eager to be given the all clear sooner rather than later.
This is my nephew's room, and he's spending a lot of extra time here after testing positive for COVID-19. He got tested after his foster siblings were exposed. So far, he's asymptomatic.
My mom keeps taking my temperature, and I've yet to have a fever.
Kobe couldn't believe he had COVID. He says he's still feeling just fine, but that's what worries him about the coronavirus, how it can spread undetected. The health department advised him to stay in his room and away from everyone else as much as possible since he's the only one in the household who tested positive.
Yeah, it is a little different. It's a little weird having to wear a mask leaving your room. It's a little different feeling. But It's not too hard with like technology and everything. I just FaceTime my mom, ask her to give me a drink or something.
My sister is working from home, monitoring Kobe and trying to keep her 3 foster kids, ages 6, 3, and 2, all entertained. Fortunately for her, the health department says she and the kids only need to quarantine for a total of 10 days rather than 14.
A 10-day quarantine mitigates most of the risk. It's not all of the risk. There's still a tiny percentage of folks that can get that, come down symptomatic from day 11 to 14, but 10 days gets the vast majority of the people. So that's the new quarantine timeline, 10 days from last exposure. There's also another nuanced option of potentially coming out of quarantine on day 7. But to come off of quarantine on day 7, you have to have a negative test result.
The reduced quarantine time might just save my sister's sanity.
She's ready to go back. The kids are wreaking havoc. They're all over the place.
Kobe says it's important for everyone to take this pandemic seriously. He worries about getting his mom and foster siblings sick, and he's also getting tired of living in his room.
It's awful. I do not recommend this. I recommend everyone wear a mask. Everyone stay 6 feet apart.
In Joplin, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
There has been no change to isolation procedures for those who test positive for COVID. If you're showing symptoms, you're required to isolate for 10 days. If you're asymptomatic like Kobe, you're required to isolate for 10 days after your testing date. If symptoms like a fever persist, so does your isolation time. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Cruising into the low 40s, high 40s by the noon hour, mid 50s later this afternoon. An absolutely delightful December start, and all the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
A wreck in Wilson County, Kansas leaves a Fredonia man dead. Plus, we'll break down Missouri's COVID-19 vaccination plan and how a group of volunteers are bringing warmth to people in need.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30 in the morning. I'm Jesse Irwin. Coming up this half hour, we have the latest on the coronavirus surge nationwide and something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We're asking whether you prefer a real Christmas tree or an artificial Christmas tree. We also invite you to participate in our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. First, let's check it with Michael.
Yeah, Jesse, just to orient ourselves here, this is a live look outside of Television City. You see the flagpole there on the left and our street lamps on the right. Guarantee you it's live as that person drives by, but I want to point out that glowing object up there on the top right-hand side. That is Venus. So if you step outside and look to your in between east-southeast, that's an idea of what you're going to see, just bright and beautiful as can be. And the reason being is because the Skywatch Storm Tracker just giving us very clear, clean skies from the Freeman Health System sky camera, 28 degrees. It's not one of those that takes a bite out of you though, because the wind is pretty negligible. We're looking at the west wind in Joplin. We're looking at a northwest wind, everybody else. 26 in Pittsburgh, 30 in Stockton, and 30 in Independence. So as long as they stay warm, they're not going to have any concerns really getting to school. And by the time you pick them up, this is going to be delightful. If you've got to pick them up, if they ride the bus, if they walk home, we're talking about 50s here at the 3 o'clock hour. So it's just absolutely going to be a perfect middle of December as we progress through the week, and we even see temperatures that work up into the 60s there by Wednesday and Thursday.
So this weekend, I watched the movie Mank.
Yeah.
It just came out. It was David Fincher's new film about Herman Mankiewicz, the writer of Citizen Kane. I thought it was phenomenal, so I watched that Friday night, and then Saturday night at about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I went outside. I took my iPad outside. I set it up on a little tripod, and I sat there in the moonlight and watched Citizen Kane in full.
Really?
Yes. I was about 3/4 of the way through, and my iPad froze because it was so cold.
So this is one thing that this is great about live television. Jesse and I did not rehearse this. We have not pre-planned this or anything like that.
Are you about to do a magic trick?
Rosebud. No, Joseph Cotton is one of my favorite actors, and I actually tried to convince at one time a person to name my son that's now Kale, Jedediah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's how much I love that movie.
He played. That's a great role. Frankly, the interviews with him. Was that Mr. Leland? right? Jebediah, is that?
Yeah.
I just think those are phenomenal. Like, I love that because you're in the journalist perspective, but you're looking. Are we talking about the same guy? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, Joseph Cotton.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what happened at the end of the movie. My iPad died. I'm just kidding. But I know what Rosebud is. Rosebud. Do you know what it is? It's not the sled. I don't know it. If you see it, let me know. A crash in Wilson County, Kansas claims the life of a Fredonia man. Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened on Friday after 42-year-old Sean Blaine Ritz failed to negotiate a curve and struck an embankment on 1700 Road, about 5 miles northwest of Fredonia. Blaine Ritz was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. More than 330,000 COVID-19 vaccines are expected to be coming to Missouri this month. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services says that would cover all long-term care facilities and residents and healthcare workers. The vaccines will require a second dose, which will arrive a few weeks later, either at the end of December or in early January. 105,000 of the initial allotment will be sent to rural hospitals like the ones in Joplin. Those will be Moderna vaccines. Some volunteers in Joplin are chasing away the chill in the air, spreading scarves, hats, and mittens for those in search of some warmth. KOAM's Caitlin Shive tells us more about those cozy items and who they're for.
For the past 6 years at the beginning of December, scarves, gloves, and winter hats begin to appear, hanging on trees, statues, and more all across town.
Our goal is to just bring warmth to those who need it. We have no stipulations, no requirements, no restrictions. There's no criteria. We just want to love on the community and bring the community together for a good cause.
The annual Chase the Chill Joplin event draws dozens of volunteers picking up a bag of donated winter items to be placed around town for those in need.
Our locations that we every year want to make sure to hit is God Resort, Souls Harbor, Main Street. We'll go into Cunningham Park, Mercy Park, places like that to make sure that the group that is always out, the homeless, those kind of people, have a chance to get to something.
1,428 items were donated for the cause.
So everything basically stayed in quarantine for about 2 weeks in a bag or a tote by itself, kind of out of the way. Anything that needed washed or taken care of as far as people's homes with pets or things like that, we had to take precautions there, make sure they were clean and sanitary. After that, they were bagged again, opened up and gone through and make sure that they were actually going to keep somebody warm, not for design purposes only or too frilly. And then they were put together, hat, scarf, and glove were put together beforehand.
Some of the volunteers this year included the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints youth group.
Our youth are just amazing, and they're willing to go and give up their Saturday and to be able to serve, and I think that it's such a great way to kick off this Christmas season.
The youth group consisted of around 50 kids and teens, hoping to spread a little warmth and love to the community.
It's really inspiring to me. You think of youth as maybe being a little bit more self-centered, but as you see that these kids, they're incredible. They really, truly want to serve.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
Chase the Chill organizers are hoping to expand the event in future towns, in nearby towns in the future. It's a really cool opportunity. It's awesome. Well, according to the National Diaper Bank Network, the average baby goes through 8 to 12 diapers per day. That is unbelievable. And that adds up to $70 or $80 per month. The Diaper Bank of the Ozarks set up shop to help out moms and dads while it's Saturday, passing out free diapers out Calvary, Baptist, and Joplin. Plenty of parents rolled up to the drive-through diaper giveaway. Officials say the pandemic has impacted the availability of these essential items.
When we learned that there was not a lot of resources in Joplin, you can't see it, but my mouth dropped open. I was shocked by that because Joplin does have good resources here, but to think that they didn't have diapers in this area was kind of mind-blowing.
The Diaper Bank of the Ozarks aimed to give nearly 400 babies diapers. That's really cool. Well, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Coronavirus relief talks continue.
Could be on the way this week as lawmakers work on a new relief package aimed at helping those hardest hit by this pandemic. I'm Deborah Alfrone in Washington with the latest on that and when we could potentially see a vaccine.
Plus, do you prefer getting a real Christmas tree or artificial Christmas tree? We let you weigh in for our something to talk about, but first, let's check in with the guy who almost named his son Jebediah.
Hey Jesse, while we're looking at Venus there showing in the bright in the far right corner, I do have one concern that I want to point out right now. And that's the fact that we are starting to develop some patchy fog, and I took a step outside to see what it's doing. We are going to see a little bit of that begin to freeze on elevated surfaces. Need everybody to be careful when you get to those bridges and overpasses. Just take your foot off the gas and know that there may be some slick spots out there. We'll be right back after this.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, more than 280,000 Americans have died from the coronavirus. In California, some of the most restrictive orders since the pandemic began went into place at midnight. Deborah Alfarone is in Washington with details on that, plus the latest stimulus and vaccine news.
Much of California is under a stay-at-home order for the next 3 weeks to slow the spread of the coronavirus.
These patients are not going to stop coming in these next few weeks, especially after we feel the effects of Thanksgiving.
The measure closes businesses like hair salons and bars, restricts retail capacity, and limits restaurants to takeout and delivery.
We're a little nervous that we're not going to make it, honestly.
California is one of 25 states reporting record hospitalizations.
We're going to see a peak in the number of deaths and hospitalizations probably at some point in the middle of January. So as bad as things are right now, they're going to get a lot worse.
Here on Capitol Hill, a bipartisan group of lawmakers are finalizing a $900 billion piece of legislation aimed at helping businesses and the unemployed. But there's no $1,200 check like there was earlier this year.
This is not a stimulus bill. It is a relief bill. And it's something for the next 3 to 4 months to help those in greatest need.
Some other relief, the Food and Drug Administration may authorize the first vaccines in the United States in the next 2 weeks.
Within 24 hours of FDA green lighting with authorization, we'll ship to all of the states and territories that we work with.
Health officials say 10 to 15% of people will have side effects from the vaccination. They include temporary fever and chills and some shoulder pain.
There are no serious adverse events associated with these vaccines, to the best of our understanding.
Yesterday, President Trump tweeted his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, tested positive for the virus. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
An FDA advisory committee is meeting Thursday to discuss the Pfizer vaccine. Next week, they will look at Moderna's vaccine. Health Secretary Alex Azar predicted the authorizations will come within days of those meetings. Over in the United Kingdom, they're getting ready to start vaccinating people tomorrow. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check in with Michael for our Morning Talk.
Thank you, Jesse. KOAM News Now Facebook page is as easy as real or fake tree. And we'll kick off with Phyllis of Plotnik King. I'm not sure what it is, Phyllis, but it is absolutely gorgeous. That is wonderful. And I love the Santa and the Snowman next to it. We'll come back to Dave here in a second. Linda Mills. It's just yarn in a star shower, but Linda, hey, I think it's gorgeous as well. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Steve Bunce, that is not a real tree because I can see the bottom, so Steve goes artificial, but I tell you what, that's a beauty who's guarding the tree. That's the important part right there. And I said I'd come back to Dave. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, man. All right. Now, that's from Kim Martin right there. I appreciate that too. Thank you, Kim. All right, on the Insta poll this morning, right now, 76% of you say artificial tree, and I find it really interesting that it's that overwhelming. I never would have guessed that, but like Jesse was talking about, he made his foray into the Christmas tree land and got an artificial one, and from what everybody's saying, very economical, and I completely understand it. All right, we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News. Birthdays, anniversaries right after this.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero. Private First Class Oscar Wells served in the United States Army from 1942 to 1945. He fought across Central Europe during World War II, his hometown, Carl Junction, Missouri. We're proud to salute Oscar Wells, a four-state hero.
Let's get this birthday list started off with a big number 2 for Gracie Jo Carlskin. I tell you what, Gracie Jo, that hat and scarf combo right there, I'm a little bit envious. So very happy birthday to Gracie Jo in Pittsburgh.
Grace, you look cozy. I love that. Happy birthday.
Speaking of being envious of hat wear.
Yeah, really. Paxton, you are crushing it, man. Paxton Wilderman turning 3 today. Happy birthday, Paxton. Enjoy your day.
Sophia Roberson, she has a big 3rd birthday. Love the smile, Miss Sophia. She's in Quapaw.
Happy birthday, Sophia. Happy birthday to Darla Allen in Lamar, turning 7 and ready to roll this week. Happy birthday, Darla.
My goodness. I cannot believe already 8 years old. It's Bella Barcelona. Bella, a happy birthday to you. You know what? I'm going to let you rule the roost over Mom and Dad today, since it's your birthday. Don't get mad at me, guys. Happy birthday to Bella in the knack.
Happy birthday to Eli. Cheese in there, number 9. Turning 9 in Gerard. Happy birthday, Eli Valley.
I like that 9 because let's stick with Bentley Jennings and a little Jasper Eagle pride right there. Bentley, go get him, kiddo. Have a great day at school today.
Joining Bella in the knack is none other than Nolan Stipp, turning 10. Happy birthday, Nolan.
Keep the double digits rolling as Jaden Houston's turning 10 as well. Now we got a little Webb City Cardinal pride on our hands. And you keep that success rolling through high school there, kiddo.
Double ones turning 11 in Parsons is Paige Johnston. Paige, happy birthday. Enjoy your Monday.
Out to Chanute. A little throwback there for Lane McFadden, who is now 14 years old. Happy birthday, Lane, in Chanute.
19 years old. That's how old Riley Williams is today. Happy birthday, Riley. Turning 19 in Galena.
Party in the knack, double thumbs up, 21. Yep, Cody Evans. Happy birthday, Cody.
Happy birthday, Cody, and happy birthday to Joby Riker, turning the big half-century mark, turning 50 with...
That's a good one right there,
yeah, I was about to say, how many points is that?
Yeah, count those points.
Yeah, might be 50. Happy
nice
birthday,
job,
Joby.
Dave Andrews, a 51st birthday to the man in shades. Happy birthday to Dave in Baxter Springs.
Dallas McCoy is turning 70. Dallas, happy 70th birthday in Erie, Kansas. Happy birthday, my friend.
Got a 70th birthday in Carthage as well for Mr. Ronnie Lee. Ronnie, I want you to have a marvelous birthday, sir.
Now here's a special one. In Sheldon, Missouri, Mary Jane Hinkle is turning 71, and her daughter Lisa wants to make sure that she knows that she is very loved by Lisa, and she hopes that her mom, Mary Jane, has a wonderful 71st birthday. Happy birthday, Mary Jane.
And Betty Dooling, happy 94th birthday to Miss Betty. She's celebrating in St. Paul. Beautiful Christmas decorations there as well. Happy birthday, Betty.
It is Helen Kelly's birthday in Columbus. You know, I saw that. You and I know a Helen Kelly, and I was thrown off because I was like, wait, I thought her birthday's in the summer. But it's Helen Kelly's birthday in Columbus, and Helen Kelly, we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday in the bus.
Jeff Leslie wants you to have a happy birthday as well. Jeff with his hands full right there. Have a great day, Jeff and Gerard.
Have Happy birthday, Jeff. Look at this. We got the first anniversary. We got Matthew and Josie Ridenour celebrating their first 365-day lap of being together and bounded? What would be the proper way to say it? Binded by love?
Got it.
Bound by love? I think I nailed it. Happy anniversary, you two.
I just got it.
Yeah, got it.
Hey, who this is? Look at the throwback picture right there. I love the stash, man. And by the way, you so outkicked your coverage, and you know that. It's okay. I can get away with it. Happy 24th to Jeff and Cindy Dean in Oswego. Great crew right there. And
in Webb
who
City,
that is?
His name is Doug. Is that his name? I don't reckon. Look at that hairstyle.
Hey, dude, you know we love you. We don't have enough words for you. We got you back 100%, buddy. Entire Force Ace love you.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Doug.
I don't have really enough words for that dude right there.
Yeah. You like that hairstyle you got? You got the Mahomes hair?
Nah, because I always do stuff for people I work with, and that dude's done so much for us, and he's so great. I love you, man. All right.
As do I.
All right, let me
who
clean my
else? We got a lot of
birthdays. Clean my act up. Let me clean my act up.
Well, no, we got people who didn't send in photos.
Alita Brown out of Grand Villa. I'll need everybody to stop by and tell Miss Alita a happy birthday. Meredith Main, she is 40-something is what we're going to go with. That's close enough. Down in Rogers. And Knox Harris, a happy 4th to Mr. Knox in Girard.
Happy birthday in Miami to Kathy. Happy birthday in Miami also to Earlene Myers, the manager of Docks in 9 Tribes. And in the bus, it's Kim Majors. Kim Majors' birthday in the bus, but it's not the only birthday in the bus today.
Yeah, you stop in the 9 Tribes right there. You tell Earlene happy birthday from me.
Oh yeah.
Marilyn Torcha, happy birthday. Marilyn is in Columbus. Keith Pennick, he's got a birthday. Where's your picture, Keith? Keith, happy birthday in Joplin. Amber and James Reeves, and they're celebrating their 7th anniversary in Columbus. And Sam and Nicole Johnson, a happy birthday in the bus as well. Congratulations to the Reeves and the Johnsons on those anniversaries. Now who this is? I'll be darned. Look at that. Allie Martin celebrating her 15th birthday out in Labette County. Allie, I want you to have a marvelous birthday, and I kind of saved you here at the end because I wanted to make sure we got that smiling photo on. So happy birthday to Miss Allie. Have a great day. And Braxton Otter, no man, don't think we forget a 16th birthday. License. Give me the keys to the car. Let's roll out in Richards. Happy birthday, Braxton. We'll finish this show up right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. On Sunday, President Trump tweeted that former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani has tested positive for COVID-19. Giuliani, President Trump's personal attorney, has traveled in recent weeks to make the president's unsupported claims of election fraud. A crash in Wilson County, Kansas claims the life of a Fredonia man. Kansas Highway Patrol says the crash happened on Friday after 42-year-old Sean Blaine Ritz failed to negotiate a curve and struck an embankment on 1700 Road about 5 miles northwest of Fredonia. Blaine Ritz was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Some volunteers in Joplin are chasing away the chill in the air, spreading scarves, hats, and mittens across town. About 100 volunteers came out to Homewood Suites Saturday to pick up bags of warm knitted items to be placed around town for those in need. Due to the pandemic, those bags of items were quarantined for 2 weeks before being hung with care. 1,428 items were donated this year. It's the 6th year for Chase the Chill, and it wouldn't be possible without help from the community. This year, around 500 people donated items. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Highs today in the 50s, going to be absolutely delightful. Whole lot of sunshine, up into the 60s here by the time we get to the middle of the week. Don't forget the KOAM Toy Box is now underway, and we need your help more than ever during this year of 2020 to put a smile on every child's face during the holiday season. If you have an opportunity and you'd like to donate an unwrapped gift, you can do so either at our studios at 7th and Rangeline in Joplin or here at the Mothership just south of Pittsburgh on Highway 69. And don't forget, coming up tomorrow, we continue our Toy Box Tuesday Telethons that run during the noon, 5 and 6 o'clock newscast. And thank you for all that you've done, for those of you who have donated and those of you that plan on doing so as well. That wraps it up for this Monday edition. I want you to have a great, safe day. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we'll see you today at noon after the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.